welcome back to another episode of these Roblox tutorials. My name is Teddy Shelley. In the last video, we started looking at some scripting to do with, I think we were looking at how to, following the Roblox tutorials on the wiki. So if I just go back one, I'll remember what we actually were doing. We created a script. I think created parts via code as well. And I thought we would carry on basically working our way through some of the scripting tutorials we can see on the Roblox wiki. And they also have some tutorials on gameplay, and we'll also come back then to the cookbook, which we looked at about 2 episodes ago, which was quite good, but felt a little bit advanced. So I want to work through some of these tutorials first and then go back there to see if I can make more sense of it. So the next one on this wiki, the general scripted tutorials, is this one for making a day-night cycle. And it calls it an easy tutorial. So let's see. Okay. So it says in the previous tutorial, we learned how to add a script to a game so we could run code when the game starts. And in this one, we're going to add a script that cycles the time of day using loops and a street light that turns on and off at the appropriate times, which sounds awesome. So it says Roblox doesn't have a day-night cycle, but we can add one ourselves. You can do it with this function here. So I'll do as I usually do. I'll cut and paste the function over into a Roblox script. So I'll go into server script service here, right click, insert object, create a script. I'll get rid of the print hello world and add this function here from the Roblox wiki, which is basically game.lighting. And the function is 7 minutes after midnight, 5 times 60. So it's saying 5 lots of 60 minutes, which is basically 5 hours. So 7 minutes after midnight would be 5 a.m. because it's 5 lots of 60 minutes. So that's 5 hours after midnight. This is a function that I think only applies to lighting, which is why we have a colon rather than the dot that we normally get. And I think it says something like that on here. When it says functions, special instructions we use in code. Certain functions, like set minutes after midnight, are associated with specific types of instances, in this case lighting. So if we want to use it, we have to specify which instance we want to use the function with. And we, similarly to how you change the properties, where we've been changing things like brick color and things like that. But in the case of lighting, where we are changing the properties of lighting using a function, you use a colon instead of a dot. So, as we've seen here, 7 minutes after midnight is pretty straightforward. We then put the number in the bracket. So we come back here, we have the numbers, as I say, 5 times 60. So 5 lots of 60 minutes is 5 hours. So that's that. So that would set, I'm assuming, this bit of script would just set it to 5 a.m. in the morning. So let's have a look what that would look like. Oh, there you are, 5 a.m. Sun not quite up yet. If we stop and instead change it to 10 a.m., but just changing it to 10 times 60, I would expect this to look like morning. Yes, so it does. Lovely. Okay. It says we can change the time of day then several times in a row. So then you just repeat that line. So coming back here to the script, game lighting 7 minutes after midnight. So you could have 5 times 60, and then the next one would be 6 times 60, 7 times 60. So that would be 5, 6, 7. So if we did all of that, just do a few of these. Just return them down. So for each one, then we'll go up by an hour. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So let's test that. And actually, it's just still morning. So what it says here about that is the above code changes the time from 5 to 6 to 7, so on. But if we run the game now, the time instantly changes to the last line. So in our case, it instantly changes to 11 o'clock in the morning, because that's the last one we have here. So the wiki says, why does that happen? And it's basically because the game is running the script as fast as it can. So we can't even see the changes. So we need to put a little wait command between each change. Now the game here suggests a wait 1, which is wait 1 second before changing the hour. I have tried this earlier and it still was too quick, I thought. So I'm going to show a wait 3. So I cut and paste a couple of wait 3s. Okay, and now we'll test that. So it's getting changing somewhat. Getting lighter. Yeah, lovely. We actually saw a change then in the light. That works. Okay, so it says the above code, which we've just used, works well over a short period of time. But if we want to keep the time of day to keep changing, we won't want to be writing thousands of lines of code. So instead, we use a loop. A loop is a segment of code that repeats itself over and over until certain conditions are met. Some loops can be indefinite. I'm just going to copy and paste this one over, but we won't actually use it. But I just prefer looking at the script within the script window. We'll just pop it right at the bottom here. Now, what we have here is a loop where number equals 0. And while that's true, do number equals number plus 1. And then print the number, and then wait 1, and then end. Now I think that would just keep on indefinitely running. Actually, I will put it in its own window, so we can print it to the output area and have a look. So let's open another script. So if you run this, and have a look at this output window, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. It's going to keep going. And this is because basically it's saying you start off with a variable called number, which is equal to the number 0. And while true, and we're not saying anything is different to indicate false, you basically take that number, add a 1 to it, print it to the output, wait a minute, and keep going round and round and round. So that's how that bit of script works. The loop. So, so if we want to do a loop for cycling day or night, it gives us this script here, which we'll copy and paste over. Get rid of this loop script, and we'll go into this other script. Copy over it, I think. The lighter script. So it's saying minutes after midnight equals 0. So that's your starting variable. And while true, and it's not saying anything different to change it, minutes after midnight equals minutes after midnight plus 1. So it's saying, while true, add a 1 to it, and then game lighting set minutes after midnight with the value given to minutes after midnight in the brackets. So in other words, the lighting then is that new minutes after midnight, which had the 1 added to it, and then you wait 0.1 of a second before doing this all over again. So this is fine. But I've got a feeling that's going to be a very slow process. So let's have a quick look. I've still got that other script doing stuff as well, which I'll get rid of in a minute. But yeah, this is taking forever to change. So firstly, let's get rid of the infinite number script. Let's go back to this lighting script. I think what we want to do, instead of adding just 1 to the minutes after midnight, because that's going to take forever, we'll open a bracket and add 5 times 60. So we'll straight away set it to 5 a.m. in the morning. And then we'll say, that would be then the new time. And then we'll say wait 3 seconds and keep doing it. So what we should see here now is a much quicker run through of a day-night cycle. Fingers crossed. So it's dark, it's light. This is a nice day, sun's moving. Dark again. Fantastic. It is a quick one, so I probably will want to slow that down a bit. Wait, maybe 5. Yeah, we'll see how that goes in a minute. So the last bit of this tutorial then is to add a street light. So I think this is just, first of all, an ordinary part with a point light on it. So I'm going to just do that. It says add the street light to the game. First construct the light. Make sure we call it light part. It should have neon material, and insert a point light into the part so that it emits a light on the parts around it. So let's have a play around back. We haven't been in this for a while. In the actual the build part of the program, we'll insert a block. We'll move it a bit nearer. We'll scale it up and in a bit. It said the material here is neon, is that bottom one, and we'll give it black, and then perhaps we'll insert another part on top. Move that a bit nearer me, move it up, and back, scale that in a bit. That's joined there, nice. Make it a bit bigger. Perhaps we'll make this one a white. It's a bit like a light. Not the best builder in the world. Okay, and then it says to insert a point light into it. Now that's the one. I'm going to go into model, surface, effects. Maybe that's an object. Insert object point light. Yes. So we'll see how that goes. And we have to call the part, it said. So I right clicked insert object into that, the main part of the part. And we need to call it light part. So, okay. So let's rename that. And then it says, right, we modify our script to turn off the light during the day. So turn it off at 6. Let's have a look. Let's copy and paste this over and then go through it. Okay, so light part is game workspace light part. Well, let's make sure that light part is in the game. Yeah, it's in workspace because that's just the where light part can be found. And yes, it's in game workspace and it's called light parts. That's fine. Minutes after midnight is set at 0. We've had that before. While true though, minutes after midnight at 10, and then game lighting set the minutes after midnight to whatever it was plus 10. So that variable, that opening variable then will change. Then we have the conditional if game lighting time of day equals, and it's equals. That means is exactly the same as basically 6 a.m., which is done by putting it into inverted commas like a string, but it's in inverted commas 06 colon 00 for the minutes, 00 for seconds. Then it says light part material, so it's set the material of the light part, enum material plastic. Is that, I suppose, changing it from neon to plastic, maybe? I don't know. And then light part point light enabled equals false. Basically, turn the point light off. And then it says end, and then it says wait 0.1 of a second, and then the whole thing will carry on. Doing this. Let's have a look. Let's check it. Oops. So it's dark. Gets light. Did that point light go off? Ah, then it came on again. Was it on all the time? That looks on to me. Right, let's have a look. So it explains it by saying, we start by making a variable for light part. In our loop, we add something called an if statement. An if statement runs code only if a certain condition has been met. In this case, we want to check if the time of day is 6 a.m. To check if two things are equal in Lua, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, by the way, we use two equal signs. If you look at the value of time of day in the properties, you'll see that it is written in hours, minutes, seconds notation. So we have to use that when we are checking the time. So that's what they use in the code. The code between then and else will only run if the time of day property is exactly at 6. If we run the code now, we'll see the light will become plastic and the point light inside will stop shining. To turn the light on again at the end of the day, we follow up with another if statement. Well, I thought it was shining throughout, but they've added this if statement right at the end. So let's see if we can see a difference when that gets added. So waypoint 1. If game lighting time of day is 6 in the evening, then light part material becomes neon again, and light part point light enabled is true. Let's see if we can see that difference. Oops, it helps if I could see it. So we're going to reach 6 a.m. Maybe my problem is that, oh, I know why. I know why. It's because the light part is the main one. The light part is the main one, and the script is happening to that, but this top one here, which I've made neon, I need to change, I think, and make it a different material, because this top one here is carrying on being neon, whereas, in fact, I think I'll make the bottom part not neon. Right, start again. We'll make the bottom part not neon, and we'll make the top part neon, and we will call this part here, we'll call this part here part, and we'll call that top part neon, sorry, light part. What am I calling it? Light part, yeah. It's this bit we want to call, because this is the bit we want the script to point to, that top part. So start again. Light part, and this is the script that goes there. So the bottom part is just going to be an ordinary base made out of diamond plate. It could be anything, because that's not where the light should be coming from. The light part is the top part, which is a light, and that's where the point light will switch on and off. So what this script is doing here basically is setting the time after minutes after midnight, it's 10 minutes after midnight, and it's running through that quite quickly. As soon as it hits 6 a.m, it turns the neon to plastic, so it stops shining and disables the point light, and then it carries on running through the script, and then once it reaches 6 in the evening, it turns it back to neon and turns the point light back on. That should work. Right, so it's on because it's dark, it's off because it isn't needed, and then at one point it's going to hit 6 p.m. Lovely, and on it comes. Brilliant. Okay, I think that's a really useful piece of script that I'll probably cut and paste. I'm starting to build up my own sort of Roblox script document for these neat little pieces of script that I might end up using in the final game, whatever that game should be. So if we go back here, it says our game now can cycle through day and night, and we have a light that automatically turns itself on and off. And in the next tutorial, we will cover how to use events to light parts on a fire and then douse them, which sounds very interesting. So I'm going to have a little fiddle with this and see if I can understand it even more, but I think it's working and I think I get it. So thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye!